What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my channel. This is my top 10 worst movies of the decade from 2010 to 2019. So I'll be picking one movie from each year between those years and then obviously mixing it up and then having it be number 10 is the worst movie and number 1 being the worst movie of the decade. So get your popcorn, get your water, sit down and enjoy this. Also, what I'll be doing is I will be naming also the year, just so you guys are able to keep up and, obviously know that I'm only picking one movie per year on this list. So let's get started with number 10. Number 10 actually came out this year, and that's 2019's Unplanned. Unplanned was a terrible movie. The filmmaking alone makes it worthy to be on this list. But the thing is, the reason why it's only my number 10 is because I think that there was enjoyment to be had because it was so bad that it was good. But it doesn't mean it can't be on this list. Like, this movie is worthy of this list, trust me. From the messages, to the storytelling, to the way it's shot, to the low budget, where you can tell it was low budget. I love independent filmmaking, but I also hate it when a movie tries to, outgrasp what it's trying to accomplish. It just felt like the type of movie that you'd see like on a Hallmark channel. And that's why it's my number 10. Number 9 is a movie that... still remember, I haven't seen it in 8 years, but I still remember, and that's number 9 is Abduction. That's right. Came out in 2011. It's that movie with Taylor Lautner, Lily Collins, Sigourney Weaver, Alfred Molina. It's a movie that is supposedly an action movie, but feels more like a teen movie, but the teen drama doesn't work, and the action scenes are terribly filmed. It's the type of movie that you would see like in a Walmart bin, and not in like a good way. It wasn't even well shot. It wasn't well edited. Like I said, the action scenes are terrible. Teen drama doesn't work. It was a movie that was excruciating to watch, and I'm glad I haven't seen it in 8 years. Really bad movie. That's my number 9. My number 8 is... oh, my goodness. My number 8 is Tyler Perry's Acrimony, which came out in 2018. This is a major discount version of Gone Girl. But it's done in a way where it doesn't show both sides of, the whole conflict. It just shows the one side, and the other side kind of gets thrown out the window. I personally don't like that. This movie was not sold at all. It was very blatant. It was as if you got hit over the head with a bat, and then just kept on getting hit, and then it's like, do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? And it's like, I got it during the first 30 seconds of the movie. This is a movie that is way too long. It's very poorly edited. The acting really isn't that good. Storytelling is very problematic, as are the messages. It's a movie that is very frustrating to watch, and check it out. So that's my number 8. My number 7 is a movie that I actually saw recently. I saw it because I wanted to see every single M. Night Shyamalan movie so I could, rank all of his movies. And so I saw this movie finally. That's why my number 7 is The Last Airbender, which came out in 2010. I was young enough to where I should have seen this in the theater, but I didn't. I instead, if I recall correctly, I saw Karate Kid a second time, which looking back, obviously, I should have seen that a second time. But hey, I was young. What can I say? But my number 7 is The Last Airbender. I haven't seen the show, but the filmmaking alone makes this worthy to be on the list. The visual effects are not good. Even the score by James Newton Howard is kind of like eh. The acting is really atrocious, but that can also be given to the directing as well. The pacing is also very glacial, but not in a way where it's like, oh, wow, I feel like I'm gaining a lot of information. It's more like you feel like someone threw a book at you and then said, hey, you know everything about that book now, right? And it's like, no, you just knocked me out. So, number 7, it's not a good movie. It really isn't. Number 6, though, was Suicide Squad. Number 6 is Suicide Squad, which came out in 2016. This movie's makeup is good. Margot Robbie is also perfectly cast as Harley Quinn. That's about it. Everything else about this movie is garbage. The way it was shot, the color palette, the decision to use a lot of like pop songs. It was as if someone just like threw a bunch of songs and it just came out to be the final product of the movie. There's no actual score, which is a shame because it's the same composer that did the score to like Gravity, Stephen Price. And he's a good composer, but like you don't really get a emphasis on his score. In fact, it's just a soundtrack. It feels like a discount version of Guardians of the Galaxy, which I'm not even a big fan of, but you can definitely tell that they saw that and then they were like, we got to try to do something like that. And the reshoots are very evident in this movie. Suicide Squad is a terrible movie. It was my worst movie of 2016. And that's why it's my number 6. Number 5, though. We have The Boy Next Door, which came out in 2015. This movie was frustrating. I recently saw Hustlers a couple months ago with Jennifer Lopez, and I think that's the only movie of Jennifer Lopez's that I've seen that I actually liked. The Boy Next Door was my first movie of hers that I've seen, and I guess that was a terrible introduction because The Boy Next Door was really, again, the word I'm going to with all these movies, problematic. But also filmmaking wise, it has the same problems of all these other movies: the style, the editing, the way it's shot, and then the acting. The acting is really bad. Certain plot elements also, especially towards the end, really fall apart upon analysis. It's just a movie that you watch it, and I did know some people that I went to school with that like this movie, and I'm like, oh my goodness, why? And it's like, I guess if your standards for filmmaking are low, then it's like, this is probably a great movie. But if you know anything about filmmaking, like even a little bit, or have seen more than 5 movies, you'll know that this is a terrible movie. That's why it's my number 5. Number 4 is yet another Tyler Perry movie, because Tyler Perry obviously did Acrimony, but this time he is starring in it. And that is number 4, Alex Cross, which came out in 2012. This was when I started noticing what is essentially an epidemic now in action filmmaking. Abduction kind of did it as well, which came out obviously the year before, but Alex Cross did this thing where it had shaky camera work and terrible editing style, so that whenever there was action going on, you didn't know what was going on. And it's a shame too, because Matthew Foxtick lost a lot of weight, got, really muscular for this role, and his performance is wasted because he's not even really given that much screen time, and when he is, he can't even really be that menacing because he's working in the framework of a PG-13 movie, which makes sense given the way that it's shot and edited. But also, again, the acting, it's not good. The storytelling, it tries to be a cat and mouse movie, but it just feels as though something you've seen a million times before. It's cookie cutter mold. And the reason why I really don't like it, though, is because of how frustrating it is that the filmmaking is bad. Rob Cohen is a director that it's kind of crazy. Actually, you know what? I think Rob Cohen directed The Boy Next Door. Don't quote me, but I think he might have directed that as well. Man, this guy should not get any more movies. But that's my number 4, obviously, Boy Next Door. My number 3 is R.I.P.D., which came out in 2013. Kind of funny thing about R.I.P.D. is that it was a Sony movie, I believe, and then 3 years later, Sony decided to reboot Ghostbusters. And Ghostbusters almost made this list, but the thing is, Suicide Squad I hate a little bit more than that movie. But anyways, R.I.P.D. feels like a discount version of Ghostbusters. But it's done in a way where the special effects feel like they're 40 years outdated. And it's also done in a way where you have 2 actors that are good, but they don't have any chemistry, and all the jokes fall flat. And I also think that the pacing is really problematic. Like, it's not a long movie by any means, but it definitely feels a lot longer than it should be. It's just a movie that is so miscalculated, misguided, that you can't help but wonder how this got past the editing room, and even past, all the producers saying, hey, I want to see the final cut. I just don't understand it, but whatever. Still one of the worst movies of the decade. That, of course, came out in 2013. Top 2, though. Top 2. We have number 2 is Transformers: The Last Knight, which came out in 2017. This movie gave me nausea, honestly. They utilized a lot of different aspect ratios in this movie, and I honestly don't know why. Like with Christopher Nolan movies, I understand why, when he's using 2 aspect ratios. Michael Bay used 3-4 different aspect ratios, and it felt really jarring in its approach. And not just that, they just kind of screwed up history with this movie, because every single Transformer movie, I swear, just kind of makes up when the Transformers finally got to Earth. And this movie, I think, was the final nail in the coffin. I was like, okay, how many times are we going to get an origin story of the Transformers that is completely different from the previous film? I don't know, man. But also, I think that the special effects in this really aren't that good. You have acting performances that are really, really bad. Anthony Hopkins did this movie, ironically enough, the year after he did Westworld. And it's mind-blowing because Westworld's a great show, and he did a great job in that TV show. And then you see his role in this, and you're like, wow, why? There's a lot of, Bayisms as well. I shouldn't even really be talking in depth about this one, because guess what? This one came out in 2017, and there was a predecessor. The predecessor for Transformers: The Last Knight is actually the worst movie I've seen this decade. That's right, everyone. My number 1 is Transformers: Age of Extinction, which came out in 2014. This was the worst movie of the decade that I've seen. It's a movie that you watch and it's mind-blowingly bad. You have scenes of the final act that are specifically just so that they can, cater to China with getting billions of dollars from them with the market, which I get it, but at the same time, make it subtle. They did it though. Literally, the final act of this movie goes to China because there's scenes of like, I think it's like Bud Light or Miller Lite, whatever. It's alcohol. And that literally, Mark Wahlberg literally is like advertising in the final act. And there's a lot of tempo music too. Like Steve Jablonsky, he's a solid composer. Not great by any means, but he's solid. And the thing is, he utilizes all of his music from Battleship in this movie. And it's so lazy. And then there's literally scenes where they're talking about like marriage between like, I think it's like a 16-year-old and like a 19-year-old. And it's like, why? And I looked back in preparation for this and I saw that, I think it's Jack Rayner is his name. Jack Rayner's in this movie. He plays the boyfriend. And I'm like, thank God that you've, adapted because you went from this movie to then Midsummer, all those years later. Good for you, man. But yeah, this movie it's a mess. It's a huge mess. You watch it and you just kind of wonder how this got made. But on top of that, more importantly, you watch it and you know then how not to make a movie. And that's what I love about this movie at the same time, is that you can show this to a bunch of filmmakers. They'll all watch it and they'll get the same thing out of it. This is not how you make a movie. And that's why it's number one on this list. Those other 9 movies, yeah, they're terrible. They really are. But number one is a movie that really did affect me 5 years ago. It's when I started noticing so much more about flaws in movies that I just tend to not like. I don't like tempo music. I don't like special effects that are very obvious with, in-camera work versus, obviously reshoots. I also really don't like it when a movie has a talented cast, wastes it. Everything I don't like in a movie is in my number one choice. Sure, the other 9 also probably get a half a star or a 5-star rating from me. Sure, but there's always one thing. Transformers Age of Extinction is the only movie out of all of these where I can't think of one positive thing. I just give it a half a star because I have a rule of that every movie has a positive. It's just taken me 5 years to think of a positive. And with ending 2019, I still haven't been able to think of a positive. Maybe in 10 years I'll be able to think of a positive in this movie. But guys, that's my list. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. And I know that there's certain movies that you're probably like, oh, Chad, why haven't you put this on the list? Here's the thing, though, and I said this in my my collaboration video with LC Screen Talk. I didn't start seeing 100+ movies from certain years until 2016, I believe it was. My channel started in 2015, but besides that, 2010 to 2014. I was just watching movies for the fun of it. So that's why there were a lot of movies I just missed out on. I guess you could say that. Like Jack and Jill, movie 43, I haven't seen those movies yet. So that's why those aren't on this list, because it's not fair, because I haven't seen those movies. So just throwing it out there, guys. But again, that's my top 10 worst movies of the decade. What's yours looking like, guys? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, don't forget the subscription, notification bell, and catch you guys later.